The subconscious mind. How does the subconscious mind work? We have separate faculties of our mind that govern our behavior. If we take a moment to think about where you are, you can probably notice a few things. You can probably feel the feeling of your feet on the floor, or the feeling of your clothes sitting on your body, or even pain somewhere in the body. Is this conscious or subconscious? Well, when you feel it, recognize it, are aware of it, it becomes conscious. Recognition of something is the essence of being conscious of it. Therefore, if you have the intention of doing something with something that you recognize, you can do it quite easily, such as go and eat a sandwich because you are hungry, or to talk to a friend because you want to talk to them. We all have the ability to consciously choose our life. A thought enters our head and we act upon that thought. However, what about the things that you can't do or can't stop doing, such as eating too much, getting too lazy, getting shy or self-conscious when you don't want to, or being unable to give up something that you know is bad for you? In these two main parts of the body, the conscious and the subconscious, are very different characteristics. The conscious mind is aware. It is what we use to think with. It has a lot of mental activity. It is what we would call our mind or ourselves. If I want to do something, generally, I would use my conscious mind to organize myself to do the task. I can put one foot in front of the other when I walk. I can put one piece of clothing on at a time when I put my clothes on. I can choose to call a friend, or choose to take a particular job, or even choose to be with certain people in my life. However, this conscious mind is only concerned with actively doing things. It has no stored information. So if you can imagine the first time you walked, or the first time you ate, or the first time you talked to someone, the first time you learned to dress yourself, you would realize how much information you already have stored in your subconscious. Our memory is so large and so deep that things that happen to us when we are young are almost completely forgotten up until roughly the age of 4, 5 or 6. We may remember a few bits and pieces, but basically all those memories are stored in our subconscious mind because they do not serve any immediate purpose to be immediately recalled consciously. We live our lives and are basically forgetting upwards of 99% of all our daily activity. If we were to listen to a phone number being read out to use, we can hold that data consciously for about 10 seconds before it starts to fade. And the senses in our bodies, the 5 senses, survey trillions of bits of data every second as we walk around in the world. But most of this information is stored and held in the subconscious without it ever being recalled again. No information that is observed is lost entirely though, as hypnosis has proven that deep recall of insignificant events can be brought up if the focus is deep enough. And most of the time in the early stages of development, experiences lead to many significant changes in behavior and personal beliefs about ourselves and the world. The subconscious probably represents 90 to 95% of our behavior, but we think all our behavior comes from our conscious awareness. In reality, we drift in and out of consciousness all the time. So we don't realize how many decisions we make subconsciously. Now let me put this idea to you. What if you were asked to strip naked and walk through a busy shopping centre? There's no way, right? We can understand immediately how uncomfortable this would make many of us feel. Yet the idea of us being uncomfortable is purely based on our experiences of that uncomfortableness. Our entire subconscious would list reason after reason for not doing it, and we would feel physical reactions to this, such as sweating, nervousness, panic, fear, embarrassment, etc. Well, that is your subconscious, making sure that we follow its code of ethics. The ideas in the subconscious mind are a catalogue of experiences that told us at the time, this is the way to deal with this. The subconscious is there to run programs from your learned experiences. It remembers how to walk, how to eat, how to sit, how to do everything. If you don't think about how you're going to do things, it will keep on running these programs and do them to the best of your learned ability. The subconscious does not forget anything, so when it has both good practices and bad practices, it will run the one that is most well rehearsed. The inspiration can be explained as a kind of deeper subconscious. The deeper mind is best described as the part of ourself that has the ability to know more about a situation than we do. When we see the bridge only, the deeper mind sees the land beyond the bridge. To hear the deeper mind speak, we need to be very consciously relaxed and in the zone. Or when we feel something, when we get inspiration or an idea. When we allow ourselves to work from this deeper subconscious, we are truly working from the heart. When we work from our heart, we are really following our true abilities and are able to do almost anything that we want. However, as most people will realize, inspiration, knowing, trusting, feeling all the time is quite difficult. When we lock into that deep flow of energy, we can create amazing things. But when we can't, we often try to struggle to get back there. When we can't get back there, our conscious mind attempts to take us back there by willing it and pushing it. However, this usually just makes things worse. We soon find that we are using our mental energy to do something badly that before we were doing wonderfully. The conscious mind cannot do it itself. It has very little processing power to accomplish complex tasks. It is only really needed to get the ball rolling and to guide the ship in the right direction. The deeper subconscious is connected to your intuition and knowing. So when you are really focused and have access to that state, you can receive insights and be in the zone. You are not consciously directing your subconscious, but allowing insights and feelings to direct your behavior. But when we find ourselves not inspired, but following mindless subconscious behaviors from our past that no longer serve us, we need to use our conscious mind. Using our conscious mind means waking up, looking at our behavior, and deciding in the moment a new way to think about things that is more beneficial. So all the ideas set in place all those years ago, drilled in by your 4th grade math teacher, drilled in by your mother or father, to be a good little boy or girl, still hold true today. Each time you had a conscious experience, it soon became subconscious memory. And the more impactful each of those experiences were, whether good or bad, the more they stuck in the subconscious mind. The important thing to remember is your behavior is still dictated by those experiences in your past. Generally, the learnings are for your highest good. But if a parent told you that you are not good at math, it's not your thing. They may have meant for you to not be bothered with something that will not get you places. They were looking out for you. but you may have interpreted it as a negative thing, a negative aspect to your character. Or worse yet, you identified yourself as a failure, when it probably wasn't really the case. The conscious mind has to be used to direct the subconscious mind. When it does, the subconscious will just head in that direction. If you are thinking about, as you're driving, don't crash, inevitably, your whole body responds subtly and automatically to those thoughts and end up putting you in a crash. If success is important to us and we experience lots of failure in our past, sometimes this can develop into the idea that we are a failure. The experiences from the past that we have focused on have become habitual. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be our experiences. It could be people that we have viewed in our lives that we see as role models. If the role models around us have been upset with life, angry, negative, then we can almost, in many cases, adopt that persona almost entirely. The behaviors of the people around us can tell us who we are if we don't have any other reference. Are they successful? Are they poor? Are they happy? Are they sad? Do they complain a lot about the world? Sometimes our adult behavior can basically be a complete remodeling of people that we have known in our lives. A teacher of mine once said that when they were a child, they were not afraid of spiders. But once they became an adult and they knew that their parent had had a fear of spiders, they adopted that fear unconsciously in adulthood. And this was really baffling to this person because they had not been afraid of spiders as a child. But they eventually realized that it's the fact that they had adopted the adult role in their adult life. Once they became an adult, they had to adapt to the adult role. And so the fear also came with it. We are constantly assimilating and seeking information about ourselves. We may not have been abused. We may just have seen who we are through the people around us. We may have just felt that we are not usually able to get what we want, so we think it is not for us. If you can imagine the children who grow up and become students of Harvard University or Yale University in America, and the adoration that the parents have for these students and the teachers who hold all of the students in high esteem because they are touted to be the future leaders of the world. If you compare this to students who are sent to ordinary public schools where the underlying message that is taught through society and the ideas of the teachers and the parents alike is very mainstream and relatively unambitious, then it is easy to see how all the things around us in our life, what our parents believe, what society believes, what our friends believe, and what we believe mostly, changes the way that we deal with things in the future. The well-known saying, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future," is very true when it comes to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is always assimilating, so it's always looking for references in your surroundings. Even though, in truth, we all have unlimited potential, and in order to make a jump outside of what is expected of us, both from ourselves and the people around us in life, it requires a monumental leap from the conscious mind to be able to change behaviour in a significant way. And unfortunately, in most cases, getting out of this expectation is quite difficult. It usually requires drastic change before any significant change is able to occur. And once our conscious mind has settled on a conclusion about life, it is absorbed down into the vast subconscious to be called upon as a program. And once something is identified as a program in the subconscious mind, it runs without any conscious awareness. How do we deal with new friends? It accesses the file called How to Deal with New Friends, which may have been based on how you saw your adult parents deal with people. Or it could be based on how you were treated when you got ignored at a party one time, as it was an event that shook you up. So when we face challenges in our adult lives that require us to behave in a better way, the house of cards that our mind is set up on doesn't easily change. If you were asked to give a speech, but you had experiences where adults were nervous, or you were told one time that your words didn't really matter, and you took it to heart, either by words or being told in subtle ways that people didn't need to hear what you had to say, then perhaps talking becomes difficult in adult life. When the spotlight is put on you, the subconscious catalogue is being vigorously checked. What is the most prominent detail that will dictate how to handle the present situation? Typically, people's subconscious plays things out just as it had experienced and seen it before. The subconscious may be cross-checking with other experiences of doubt or failure and conclude in a microsecond that you can or cannot do it well. But sometimes a positive nudge in the moment can rekindle other memories of success in the subconscious. Then the proof that you are now speaking confidently can light up. The confidence in oneself and belief in your ability can now be new conscious thought that is allowing the subconscious mind to question whether or not its vast prior assumption about you is correct. This new conscious feeling is so powerful as it renewed enthusiasm, and it has new current proof to back it up. Skydivers feel this euphoria all the time. It is the feeling of a new belief in oneself. You may have been depressed for a lot of your life. You may have had a lot of difficulties, but in the moment when you're in the plane and you decide, I'm going to jump, this literally shakes the subconscious so much that the subconscious starts to question everything and go, oh, wow, maybe this is a new way to experience your life. When you feel like you've never realized how powerful you are, this is an amazing realization. However, sometimes if the person doubts themselves, or more accurately, they have practiced self-doubt in the subconscious, the feelings of confidence in the moment are quickly thwarted by feelings of panic. These physical reactions are just the subconscious's way of alerting you to the perceived dangers. So in the moment we have two choices. We can try to use the conscious mind and step our way through with an open eye, an open mind, hoping that we can get through and do things the way that we want to as an adult. Or we can allow ourselves to be pulled back into the old patterns of behavior, which are very practiced, very routine, but it's calling on that new conscious thought in the moment that can be so challenging. And if you've ever heard people say, I can't do this, I don't do this, I'm feeling nervous, my hands are sweaty, my legs are shaking, My heart is beating so fast. I feel I'm anxious. I'm getting tempted. All these things, addictions, depression, anxiety, are all based on the subconscious ideas that are no longer helpful for you as an adult. When the mind is clear and relaxed, you can use your conscious mind's imagination to direct your subconscious. But if we look at our present negative feelings and experiences, we can rewrite the subconscious programs into positive experiences by seeing it in the present and re-understanding who you are and its meaning. And this really leads us to the idea that fear and panic is the same as excitement and euphoria, just on the other side of it. You take that step and face the fears that have been troubling you and change the behaviors that have been holding you back. This is where the subconscious is rewritten. The subconscious, remember, is a series of programs that's been stored and remembered over a long period of time. But using the conscious mind in the moment to stay aware of what's going on, recognizing your behavior, and saying in the moment, even though I've done this in the past, I no longer do this now. The conscious mind can rewrite the subconscious mind in a heartbeat. And this is how trauma from the past is healed, from allowing it to become a conscious decision to try again and be open to how you feel. It is that simple. Any trauma from the past is able to be healed by allowing emotions to be naturally processed through bringing the pain into the conscious mind and releasing it. I always say that a boiling kettle is a great analogy of the subconscious mind. It sits there, steaming away, building up. But if you don't let out the steam, which are the emotions and feelings and trauma, it will be boiling away with increasing intensity. You will get more panic attacks, you will get more feelings of depression, you will get shaky hands and shaky knees. There will be more physical symptoms that will build up and up and up, further and further in your life, if you are denying a trauma from your past that wants to get out. If you let out the steam a bit and a bit more and a bit more at a time, it will eventually run out of steam. And then you can use your heart and mind to make decisions that you like. But with a boiling kettle, with a kettle that's just about to burst, it is difficult for anyone to behave perfectly and be presentable. You could have friends or family telling you, I wish you'd tell us what's on your mind, but the moment you do try to let out that feeling, people don't like the way you behave because you're letting out too much at once. Your kettle has been boiling for so long that you just can't seem to control yourself anymore. This is evidence that your kettle has been boiling for so long that it needs a safe way to let off steam bit by bit so that you don't find yourself being pushed back against by society. You have to consciously decide. The cells in the body are all connected, and each has an intelligence of its own. The human body is its own universe, and it is connected to everything else in the universe in some way. Science calls it the field. There was a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, which talks about two minds. Namely, they represent the conscious mind and the subconscious with regards to playing tennis, though. And the analogy is very useful because it talks about the first mind being like the conscious mind, thinking about what is going on, thinking about being on the court, receiving the ball, thinking about what I have to do to win. And the second mind is all the while sitting there, remembering how to play the game, but just waiting for the first mind to allow it to do so. Because all the hours that the person has spent on the tennis court has told them how to behave in the situation. Doesn't need to stress at all. But until mind 1 can get out of the way, then mind 2 cannot remember what to do. And if mind 1 wants to control the situation, it is like having 5% of your mind only to figure out how to move your legs, how to move your arms, how to run around the court efficiently and out-strategize your opponent all at once with only 5% of your mind. Whereas the other 95% of your mind, namely the subconscious, mind 2, sitting back, waiting to be given permission to just allow it all to happen. And all the information is in there on how to deal with the situation appropriately. But without mind 1 relaxing, it cannot do its job. It's being handcuffed. And so the idea with this book is that when mind 1 relaxes, namely the conscious mind, when the conscious mind relaxes, things will flow effortlessly. If you genuinely hope in your mind for things to be good, and you generally feel like things will be okay in whatever aspect of your life that you are looking at, your subconscious mind will respond to that and will have it done unto you. If you have an ache in your back and you ask that feeling with your conscious mind, what do you want? What is wrong? It might just give you an answer. It might give you an inclination of what to do next, an exercise or a stretching, or it might even just help you feel better instantly. Sometimes if you just acknowledge how you feel, the bad feeling goes away. And if you make the point of using your conscious mind to set an intention for what you expect to happen in your life, in any situation, the subconscious has no choice but to follow what the conscious mind sets up. The conscious mind is only designed to have the initial idea. The conscious mind is not designed to do everything. The subconscious will start to listen to that conscious intention. You might say to yourself, I am healthy, and it will make it so. You might say, I'm going to succeed. The subconscious will make it so. You might say, despite all that I've done wrong in the past, I am really smart. I'm going to succeed. It will make it so. Lying to yourself by saying you are feeling good when you don't is not the way. Firstly, what you need to do is let out the steam. Let that all go. Reduce the trauma. Let it dissolve. Speak to who you need to speak to. Once you allow the trauma to come out and you give yourself enough time to relax and enjoy life in whatever way you can, set the intention for how you want your life to be, and then allow the subconscious to organize your internal and external life with its immense power, and your life will be effortless and inspiring.